G'day, I'm Adam David Collings. Welcome to Stories. Today I'm joined by fantasy author Jeanette O'Hagan as part of a blog tour celebrating the release of her book, Blood Crystal. You'll find links to the next and previous stops on the tour in the description below. And be sure to stick around to the end because we'll be doing some giveaways. Well, hi Jeanette, and thanks for being on the show.
Hi Adam, I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Could you begin by giving us a quick pitch on what Blood Crystal is all about?
Unlikely heroes, thrilling adventure, clash of cultures, and an unthinkable choice. Blood Crystal is the second novella in the Under the Mountain series. The underground realm is under attack from the mad overseer Uza, and the crystal heart is failing. So the twins Delvina and Retsa brave a treacherous journey to seek help from Sadeki and his people. So will they find the answers before it's too late? Is the blood of Uza's children the only way to restore the crystal heart? And what are the twins prepared to do to save their realm and those they love from certain destruction?
In your underground world, the people are dependent on a device called the crystal heart to provide the power that keeps them alive. Did you have any particular inspiration behind this cool mix of magic and technology?
Well, I knew the lights were failing in the underground under the mountain realm, and I needed a appropriate localized power source that wasn't purely magical but not totally mundane. I think I read somewhere that crystals can use vibrations to store and give power, and I thought too of the steampunk stories, but also the science fiction that uses crystal technology. For instance, the Superman mythology, and also the Outlands in World of Warcraft. So this tied in well with the context of my early origin stories of Nardva, which focuses on stones or crystals, as well as some of the stories in Akrad's series, which in some of the later ones refer to the crystals. So I guess a range of influences came together to produce the Crystal Heart.
So, Blood Crystal is the second book in the Under the Mountain series, but it's also part of something much larger, as it's set in your Nardva fantasy world. Can you tell us a little bit about Nardva and how the Under the Mountain series fits into it?
I began creating stories within Nardva when I was 8 or 9. It started as an island, but it soon expanded. Nardva is a planet of similar size to Earth with 2 moons. Many of my original stories were in the eastern side of the main continental mass in the northern hemisphere. But the first novel I wrote is actually in the southern hemisphere. That's Adelphi, and the Under the Mountain series was set beneath the towering mountain range that runs down the west coast of that southern continent.
What other books and series do you have coming out in the Nardva world?
I have 2 sequels planned in the Under the Mountain series, and a prequel called The Shadows of the Deep, which is going to be published later this year. I'm also continuing to work on the Akrad Legacy series. I'm really hoping to get the first novel, Akrad's Children, published this year, and maybe the second one as well, which both relate to the neighbouring area of Tamra. I've also written short stories set in the Baraka Mountains in the northern continent, and a series of space opera stories set in the far future of Nardva, with 2 due to be published this year in Future Vision and The Quantum Soul.
So do you think there's a chance there might be some kind of big epic crossover event someday?
I would have not only to be in space, but also time to achieve that, though the savvy reader may well pick up cross-references in the different stories. For instance, in Blood Crystal, the kin leader mentions Tamarack's people, who are basically the Tamarans. The forest folk appear in both the Akrad Legacy series as well as the Under the Mountain series. And then in some of the futuristic series stories, towns from the Akrad Legacy series appear.
Fair enough. Now, you mentioned space opera stories. So Nardva isn't just confined to fantasy. Tell us a little bit more about this recent foray into science fiction.
Well, it all happened quite accidentally. I was given a writing exercise to write a food scene in the science fiction genre with a villain. I started with Dana shoving the food packet in the rehydrator before the villains beam into her ship. That became a flash fiction space junk. And then thinking of a peaceful future vision, I'm thinking, oh, I don't normally write Earth history, Earth future, but I started thinking, well, my space stories are futuristic. And I used Dana in the rendezvous at Alex Gaia and decided to set the story in Nardva's future. One of the characters has been captured and upgraded into a cyborg. So I told his story for the Quantum Soul, coming out later this year, and have since expanded it into the basis of a trilogy. So rough draft, but up to about book 3 in that trilogy, the Chameleon Protocols. Suddenly I'm finding myself enjoying and writing science fiction.
Sounds like you've got a vast world with amazing scope for storytelling. Do you have any plans to write stories outside of this world, or are you going to be keeping your focus on Nardva?
I've written a few short pieces outside Nardva, a couple of contemporary ones, and one time travel one. So I would never say never, but for now I've got heaps of untold stories in Nardva to go on with.
So you started building this world of Nardva when you were a child, and it's slowly taken shape over the years. Do you find yourself wishing that you'd gone ahead and developed it more fully when you were younger? Or are you glad that you waited until now to make writing a serious career?
That's a great question. I wrote my first book in my late teens and early 20s with ideas for a sequel and backstory prequel. I did get a small nibble from a publisher, but then with work and family demands, I put it aside. If I had got my first book published in the 80s and 90s, I can only wonder where I would be now with writing. On the other hand, I've had more, personal experience and knowledge, and had more time to grow in the craft of writing. And I think the craft of writing has also changed over that period of time. And I think my work benefits as a result of that waiting period, that growing period. I'm trusting God that His timing is right.
That makes sense. We can come up with our own plans, but he tends to know more than we do. So, if the chance ever came up, would you prefer that your books be adapted for TV or for movies?
Can I have both? It's a hard choice because a movie has a very strong presence and impact, and I can imagine perhaps Under the Mountain novellas as a movie or maybe a set of movies, and perhaps even the science fiction stories as the trilogy has a more linear plot and maybe a little less character based. But I think the Acrid Legacy series would be better as a TV series due to the complexities of the storyline.
Blood Crystal features a group of people who have the ability to shapeshift into animal forms. If you could do this, what kind of animal would you choose?
I've always had difficulty choosing just one. I love the power and grace of a big cat, like Jaguar, which appears in my stories, though the speed and ability of a horse, or the ability to soar on the air currents like an eagle, or to leap and swim through the waves like a dolphin, all have their attractions. This is probably why my shapeshifters, for the most part, can transform into more than one form.
Now, this interview is part of your blog tour for Blood Crystal, and we're going to do a scavenger hunt. Do you want to tell us a bit about how that works?
Love to. At each step of the blog tour, there's a shared experience, a memory, an excerpt from a book, and a related question. The question is like a clue in a scavenger hunt. To participate, go from one blog to the next, gathering the answers, well, the questions and the answers, and the first person to get all the answers on the final blog spot wins the prize. The second person gets the runner-up prize.
I haven't spent a lot of time underground myself, but I do remember as a kid on our holidays around Tasmania, we'd sometimes visit a cave, the type that do guided tours. We'd be led through a safe walking track. The tour guide would point out various rock formations. This stalactite looks like a wedding cake, and here's one that looks like an old man. I remember on one tour they briefly turned off all the lights to show us how dark it was, and you can see all these little glowworms. My question to all of you watching is this. The formations that hang down from the ceiling of a cave, are they stalactites or stalagmites? Once you have the answer, head over to JeanetteO'Hagan.com along with your answers to the questions from the other blog participants for your chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card. The runner-up will also receive both Heart of the Mountain and Blood Crystal. And in addition to that, we'll be giving away a prize to the best comment on this video, chosen by Jeanette. Comments can be made on YouTube or on the actual blog article on adamdavidcollings.com. What date do comments need to be entered by to be eligible, Jeanette?
By the end of the blog tour, which will be back at Jeanette O'Hagan Writes, JeanetteO'Hagan.com without the apostrophe, on Friday the 28th of July.
Brilliant. So the comment you choose will win a copy of Heart of the Mountain, and I'll throw in a copy of my medieval Mars story, Lynessa's Curse, as well. So good luck. Well, it's been great talking to you, Jeanette.
It has indeed. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Adam.
And thanks to all of you watching. I'll catch you next time. Live long and prosper. Make it so.